Entering and contracting will identify those areas and they take the opportunity and they fulfill the organization development process. That is the meaning. Setting mutual expectation or what each party expect gain from OD process. It aims at developing plans to improve and maximize the dynamism and effectiveness of the organization. Hello everyone, this is Purna Chandra, Faculty, Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram, the Temple of Excellence. So we are dealing with the subject Organizational Behavior for 3rd Sem B.Ba as per the new NEP scheme. So we are in the chapter 4 and today will be your last session in unit 4. That is session 3. So the name of the unit is Organizational Development. So now we'll just recap what we understood in session 2. So we understood what are the ethical guidelines for an OD practitioner. That is, when he is about to bring about an organizational change and lead to the development of the organization, what ethics he has to follow. What are the guidelines for an OD practitioner? So 5 different guidelines we understood in the previous class. Then we also understood the process of organization development. That is, organization development cannot be brought about overnight or in a few days or months. It will take years, like 5 to 6 years. So to bring about that organization change, there is a process of organization development. So there are 7 different steps in the process of organization development which we understood in the previous session. So now in today's class, the agenda is entering and contracting. So what are the different ways in which OD practitioner has to contract and enter inside the organization to bring about a change? Then diagnosing. Diagnosing is nothing but analyzing the present problem areas, the situation where problem is occurring. What is the negative behavior of the people? So you do the diagnosing. So basically diagnosing means you want to find out the problem area so that you evaluate the area and come out with an action plan to deal with those problematic areas. Next, we also will be understanding diagnosing organizational systems. So there are various systems inside the organization. How do you diagnose the problem in the system and how do you come out with an action plan to deal with those problems? So this is the agenda for today's class. So we will start. So initially we will start with entering and contracting. So we will basically understand what is entering and contracting. So here entering and contracting are the initial steps taken in the OD process. The first step in the organization development process is entering and contracting. We will understand how this process happens. So here it involves a preliminary evaluation of the organization opportunities for development. That is, it evaluates different areas and it finds out what is the area where we can encatch. So there will be a lot of opportunities inside the organization for development. So entering and contracting will identify those areas and they take the opportunity and they fulfill the organization development process. That is the meaning. So next, entering and contracting set the initial parameters like diagnosing the organization. So diagnosing means you're analyzing, you're getting information, you're collecting data regarding the entire organization, whether it is top level management, middle level managers, supervisory level managers or an ordinary employee. So the entire organization will be diagnosed. This is the first step. Next, planning and implementing changes. That is, once you're diagnosed, you know what is the problem. So to deal with those problems, you come out with plans. That is planning. You come out with future course of action. You foresee the future possible risk. To eliminate or deal with those risks, you plan. That is planning. And implementing the changes. That is, whatever plan you are formulated for the organization development process, you implement it so that the organization development process becomes a success. That is the meaning. Evaluating and institutionalizing the changes. Now, you diagnose the problem, you planned how to deal with the problem and you have implemented the plan. Now what you have to do, you have to check whether the plan is working out or not. So what you do is you evaluate what organization development process you have done. You evaluate whether it is working out or not, whether the behavior of the people is altered or it is the same like before. You evaluate and institutionalizing the change. That is, if it is effective, what organization development program you have come forward with, if it is effective, then it is called institutionalizing the change. Suppose it is not effective, the working environment or culture or design is like before, that means something has gone wrong. That is, the organization development is a failure. The process of organization development has not resulted in outcomes. That is the meaning. So next, the OD contract will generally address the following 3 key areas. So here there are 3 key areas which you have to understand in the OD process, that is entering and contracting. So here, setting mutual expectation or what each party expect gain from OD process. So here there is an OD practitioner who has come to bring about a change, and on the other hand there are employees or other managers inside the organization who have to be changed. So there should be mutual expectations. There should not be any kind of conflicts in the implementation of the OD program. That is the meaning. So next, the time and resources that will be devoted to it. So here, how much time you are devoting for the OD process has to be decided, and what are the resources that is required, whether you get aid from external change agents or human resource managers inside the organization or also outside the organization, has to be devoted to it. So you should have clarity regarding in how many years or how many days you are going to bring about a change, and what are the resources that is required to bring about the change. That is the meaning. The ground rules for working together and the stating of what are the proper roles of all the parties involved, including the practitioner. So OD program or the process of OD cannot be implemented successfully without rules and regulations. There has to be rules for working. Suppose there is no rules for working, then things will not fall in place. For things to fall in place, there has to be certain set of rules that has to be decided between the OD practitioner and the other members of the organization. So this is entering and contracting. So next, we go for diagnosing. So basically, what is diagnosing? We will understand. Meaning of diagnosing. Diagnosing is nothing but not evaluating. It is nothing but analyzing or collecting information regarding problems that are persistent in an organization. So we will understand. Organization diagnosing is a creative method for getting to know an organization from all levels, from surface level to the deepest hidden parts that aren't visible to the eye. So here, diagnosing is not only finding problems with the top level managers or middle level managers or supervisory level managers. There are certain hidden areas inside the organization that are not visible to the eye. So diagnosing should go in depth. The analysis or the evaluation or the criteria should go in depth, and they should analyze the root cause of the problem. This is called diagnosing. So the basic meaning here is there are problems inside the organization. You are finding what is the root cause of those problems. This is called diagnosing. So it is an effective way of looking at an organization to determine gaps between current and desired performance. That is, for example, there is a performance standard that has been set, but the employees are not able to meet the performance standards. There is a deviation. So you diagnose the reason for the deviation. So this process is called diagnosing. So what happens? How do you diagnose? You compare the actual performance with the standard performance. So, and based on this, you get to know that there is a deviation. So to deal with those deviations, you will have to come out with an action plan. So in order to come out with an action plan, you are diagnosing. That is the meaning. It aims at developing plans to improve and maximize the dynamism and effectiveness of the organization. That is, you want the organization to be dynamic and effective. So what diagnosing does is, it comes out, or it gets to know what is a problem. To deal with those problems, it comes out with plans. That is the meaning. Diagnosing can be done as a periodic routine exercise. So it can be done on a periodic routine exercise, that is, it should be done on a regular basis. It is not that I'll diagnose once and I will keep quiet for 1 or 2 years. That is not the thing. On a regular basis, you have to diagnose to deal with the problems that occur inside the organization. This is the meaning. So next, diagnosing is an exercise attempted to make an analysis of the organization. So you want to check the organization design, right from the top level managers to the middle to the supervisory level. You do some work, that is, you do some research work. So attempted to make an analysis, that is, analysis of the organization. Then organization structure. There are different kinds of organization structure, like functional structure, divisional structure, matrix structure, project structure. So you analyze whether there is any problem with the structure, whether we can swap the structure or replace the structures. Then subsystems. Subsystems means different groups of people inside the organization, whether there is group cohesiveness, whether people inside the groups, there is a lot of conflicts in between groups, there is intergroup conflicts or intra-group conflicts, you analyze. Then processes. What are the different processes that are taking place in the organization, whether they are going on well, whether the employees in the organization are motivated to work for different processes, or they are demotivated, they don't want to work. That is processes. So next, we go for levels of organization diagnosis. So here there are 3 kinds. First one is organization level diagnosis, second one is group level diagnosis, and third one is individual level diagnosis. So we will deal with this one by one. So the first one is organization level diagnosis. So organization level diagnosis is a creative method for getting to know an organization at all levels, that is, from the surface level to the deepest hidden parts that aren't visible to the naked eye. That is, there are certain parts which are not visible to the eye. So organization diagnosis, what it does is, nook and corner of the organization will be monitored, will be diagnosed to come out or to identify certain problem areas. That is the meaning. The organization level is looked at in the 3 following phases, that is inputs. That is your human resource inputs to the organization. That is whether they are skilled, competent, or whether they are knowledgeable, whether they have got sufficient training, whether they have developed. That will be analyzed. Then system designs, that is the various designs, system designs in which the employees are made to work, whether it is giving a good opportunity for them to showcase their potential, whether it is scientifically designed. That is the meaning. Then outputs, whether the products that has been produced or service that has been come out with is of quality potential. That is the meaning. So this is called organization level diagnosis. So next, group level diagnosis. In group level diagnosis, the focus would primarily be on the input of the organization design. So the input of the organization will be given prominence in the group level diagnosis. So here, emphasis on how the group organization is designed to function. That is, organization means it has to carry out different kinds of functions. So here the main emphasis is laid on the organization designed to function, whether the design of the organization is motivating the employees to work or it is demotivating them, whether there is good working condition, whether there is safety precautions inside the organization. That is the meaning. Next, it lays emphasis on inner working and general structure of the organization. This is mainly regarding your inner working and the general structure of the organization. So external factors will not come into consideration. The inner working, the groups, teams, or departments like finance, marketing, production, HR, sales, and the general structure, the structure in which the organization is function, will be given prominence here in the group level diagnosis. So next we go for individual level diagnosis. The individual level of diagnosis is important to ensure that the right people are fitted to the right job. So here the right people should be fitted to the right job, because people should be scientifically selected and placed so that they can explore their full potential. That is the meaning. It aims at promoting good attitude and work environment, which in turn increases productivity. That is, when a proper working environment is provided, it results in motivation. People are happy with the work. They want to work more with more zeal. So it increases productivity. When people are motivated, it increases productivity, and ultimately increase in productivity will lead to increase in profit. That is the meaning. So next, organizational diagnostic models. There are two types we will understand. First one is open system model. Second one is closed system model. So first we will deal with open system model. It suggests that all components within an organization are interrelated. That is, different departments, different teams, or different set of people, different managers are interrelated. So a change in one component will almost definitely have an impact or effect on other component. That is, if there's a change in the production, it will reflect the marketing activities. That is the meaning. If there is a change in the finance, it will reflect the production activities. Open system models consider environment external to the organization. So here, external environment like your technological, economic, socio-cultural, political, legal are also considered in the open system model. So here, open system model considers the following inputs like information and human resource, transformations like social and technological components, and outputs, products, services, and intellectual capital. So these are the things which will be considered in the open system model. Throughout each of the above categories, there is a constant feedback which serves to carry the organization forward. That is, there is a constant feedback on whether all these things, your inputs, transformations, and outputs are working well or not. If it is working well, everything is fine. Suppose something is wrong, then you will have to intervene and you have to get it changed. That is the meaning. Then closed system model. Closed system model focus only on the internal components of the organization and ignores the external environment completely. That is, external factors will be completed. It is only confined inside the organization. So here, it does not promote any type of flexibility and adaptability and support the concept of one right way of doing things. So the concept here is one right way of doing things, and flexibility and adaptability will not be encouraged here. The feeling will be very rigid, the plans will be rigid, and you will have to stick to it. You cannot be flexible or adaptable in the closed system model. It limits the organization and its team members' growth. That is, the growth is limited only to a certain extent. More than that, you cannot flourish yourself inside the organization being an employee. So this is closed system model. So in the next session, we will be starting unit 5, that is OD interventions. Thank you.